Welcome to Makin Macon, where even tech troubles can't dampen our spirit. Sometimes life hands you lemons, and sometimes it's the record button that just doesn't want to cooperate. I had a wonderful introduction all lined up for you, but alas, technology had other plans. So here I am today doing it live because the show must go on. Today, I'm thrilled to share a fantastic interview with Buffy Creekmore from 731 Village Realtors. We've got all the insider tips on getting your home market ready, and you won't want to miss this. Buffy's expertise is a treasure trove for anyone looking to sell their home. So, let's dive right in. No retakes necessary. Get ready for some real estate wisdom, and let's make your home selling process as smooth and successful as possible. Here we go. So, I'm really glad that you joined me today because this is really special. I haven't done an interview with anybody yet, except for my husband. So you're my first one.
Oh,
that I've actually done an interview with. So welcome to Makin Macon family. You can say hi to everybody.
Hello, everyone.
Yes. So I hope that you enjoy what we have planned here today. Can you tell us a little about yourself and how you began your journey in real estate?
Well, as you know, my name is Buffy, and I started in real estate in 2005. I actually moved to Tennessee in 2004, and someone very unsuspecting that was used by God tickled my ear and said, "You should get into real estate." And I was like, nah, that doesn't seem like it fits. And it just wouldn't go away. And so I pursued it, and come to find out, driving down the road one day, it hit me like a great light from the sky. And it was really a lot less about selling real estate. It was about, this was where I found my village and the people that are my friends now and the people that helped me after my divorce and rebuild my life. And even though I do love real estate and I love what I do, knowing that it's been touched by God, it makes it that much more special to do it every day.
Yeah, and I agree. And that's actually how we met.
Yep.
Was when you first started real estate. I remember I worked there at the same office that you came in, and we met in that moment.
And we just had such a,
I know.
We had that
kindred spirit.
I was going to say that, but we did.
My favorite movie, Anne of Green Gables, just saying. So.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, no, you can't do any better than that.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. Yeah, and I believe that because when you did, and I'm sure we'll go into this a little bit more, but when you started 731 Village Realty, I remember coming back here and we prayed over your office for God to bless things, and I do believe that God will do that and He will bless it.
Oh, and He is. He does. And sometimes I wish I could see it on down the road a little bit, but I'm trying to be patient in His time of, but it's coming together, and I know that I'm where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah, and it's just something about that feeling, because it's the same thing here with Makin Macon. It's taken us some time to get where we are. But we're getting there little by little, and we're touching hearts, and that's the goal. Yes, you're matching people with their homes, you're making them happy, but at the same time, you're letting God use you to
do that.
So, that's right.
To do that.
That's right. So in the blog post, you mentioned some key steps to get a home market ready. So can you elaborate on one of these steps that you think is the most crucial?
I would say anything that needs repair. Small things that need repair, I think I mentioned in there, like maybe a running toilet or a broken drawer, or so the little things that you're used to, but when somebody comes in and goes, "Oh, how big is this drawer?" or whatever, just anything around the house, and if there's one or two things, but then as stuff starts stacking up, they start seeing the house as like, well, how much stuff is really wrong with this house? And you want them to come in and see the house and the home and for what it is, and not for what's wrong with it.
That's good. That's very, very good. And I agree with that, because I'm one of those people that would walk into a house and be like, checking everywhere.
Right.
And I find it. I would be the one to find it.
And the overall consensus is like, well, if they didn't take care of these little things, maybe is there bigger things that they've covered up or didn't take care of or whatever, so, or just band-aided, and you don't want to give that impression. So if you can just do the small maintenance things, that's very important.
That's really good. All right, so what are some common misconceptions that homeowners have when preparing to sell their homes?
That HGTV makes do-it-yourself look super easy. And I'm not saying that some of it isn't, but let me just say that sometimes I feel like paintbrushes should be behind a locked door because not everybody can paint. And that's my biggest complaint. And the second one I would say is that people are going to walk in your home and love it for why you love it. And everybody has different tastes. They might love it, but they might love it for some other reason. So don't get focused on like why you love your house. You have to encompass the whole property and understand that it's the whole thing and not just what you love about it. And the last thing I would say is that people are not going to go through your stuff. Yes, they are going to open doors and closets and drawers just to see and get an idea, but they're not rifling through your stuff. And most of the time, if a realtor's with them, they're not going through your stuff. I mean, we're there to make sure that everything is proper.
And that is a good reason to have a realtor.
It is.
And I completely agree with that. I know there's a lot of people that sell their homes, and I don't have a problem with that if for sale by owner or whatever. But it's great because, you know, you make sure that we aren't looking at something that is out of...
Right.
I don't really know I know what I'm trying to say. I don't get it out just right. But the thing is that you're watching out for the buyer and the seller on both ends and trying to make sure that everything is kosher and that we don't step into something that we shouldn't step into.
Exactly.
And so I think that's a really good thing. So what's one piece of advice you'd give to someone who feels overwhelmed by the process of staging their home?
Well, first of all, I don't see a lot of staging here. If you're living in your home, you're living in your home. And if you've moved out and it's vacant, we don't see too much actual staging going on. However, getting your home ready, if you are living in it, I would say you don't eat an elephant all at once. You need to take it by steps. And if you're using a realtor, if you've had a realtor out to your home, they're going to break down like what the most important things are, or you know what you can do the easiest. And if it all seems overwhelming to you, most of us have people that can come in and fix a toilet or a squeaky door or sticky door or whatever to help you out a little bit on the list of stuff. But really, you don't eat an elephant in one sitting. No, you just have to take it, make a list, and not everything has to be done today.
Yeah. So. And I would say, just from experience of just helping out, because I was just a secretary, but still I dealt with foreclosure properties.
Not just a secretary. No, you were not just a secretary.
I like just secretary, but I did a lot of stuff.
You did a lot of stuff.
Under the title, under the table there, you didn't know about. But dealing with foreclosure properties even, if the home is empty, a really good thing is to make sure that your house is clean.
Oh, yes.
If it's empty, you want to make sure it's, stays... relatively clean. And that's even said if your house is, you're occupying, keep your house, tidy and clean. And that way, it can be shown at any moment.
And you have to keep that into consideration. And a lot of times, I mean, there are times when people need, now with people working from home, more advanced notice of a showing. But I'm just going to tell you, I mean, I would say 50 or 60% of the time we'll get a client that goes, we're interested in this house, can we see it this afternoon? And you don't have time to not let every buyer see your house. Everybody that wants to see it, when they want to see it, you have to let them, because if they're in the mood right then, they might not be in the mood tomorrow.
Right.
And so that's very important to just, try to be ready at any time. And if that means, shoving the laundry basket in the bottom of the closet, the door's going to get open, but nobody's going to go through it. Just at least let the people in no matter what.
Yes. Could you share a quick tip for homeowners on a tight budget to enhance their home's appeal to buyers?
So back to what we just discussed, cleanliness is next to godliness, and organization is very close under that. So keeping your house at least picked up, and if you don't like to clean, you might want to consider having somebody come in and do a one-time deep clean to get it in a good showing place, and then just keep up on that. But keeping it cleaned and picked up where people can see the house, whether that's maybe reorganizing your furniture so you don't have to walk around everything, or decluttering so they don't knock something over, but so that they're not focused on all the stuff, that they want to see the house for what it is. So I think keeping it clean, and even if there are minor repairs or minor things, if your house is clean and they're looking around it and they see those things, they're gonna see, well, they took good care, they're keep up with the cleaning and whatever, and those things I don't think show out as hard as they do if the house is a mess and it's dirty. And then there's that stuff, then it's just like a whole bunch of negatives pile up.
Yeah, and you said it, organizing. So if you're not the perfect organizer, decluttering,
right?
Just getting rid of extra stuff. I mean, this is simple behind us, but I know if sometimes I can get out of hand. I like little things. Yeah. There's things that I enjoy that works for me, but if someone were to walk in the room, it might look too much, right. too much clutter.
Well, and I love photos and photographs, and I have a ton of photos through my house, but people are like, oh wow, look at that frame, or look, isn't that, and then they get sidetracked from the stuff and they stop looking at the house, and they're more entranced by everything that's in the house. And we need to keep them on point to the facets of what they're supposed to be looking at, which is the floor plan and the layout, and will this work for your needs.
That's good. That is very, very good. Because I know and I'll reiterate that just because I said tight budget, because those are things that you can do that won't cost you a fortune.
Right.
Right off the bat.
Yeah, and most of the time you have some place where, I mean, if you have to pack up some boxes and put them in a corner somewhere, we see that quite often, or in a garage, or, and I mean, you're planning on moving anyhow, it's going to get packed.
Right.
So it doesn't really hurt. And I'm not saying take down everything that means something to you or whatever. I'm just saying, just make it a little bit more simple for somebody to be able to see your house.
When you said in the post too, you said, maybe just even painting the door,
right?
Or replacing the mat that's on the front porch.
Make it very welcoming.
Right.
Anything you can do to make it welcoming.
Those little things do help, and they don't cost a whole lot. You may have a can of paint in your garage.
Okay,
that's still good. Sorry.
I know. I'm sorry. If you can't paint, call a realtor. We know somebody who will paint it for a reasonable price.
Because they have trusted resources that are set off to the side specifically for that. So
that's right.
Yeah. So
we all have a guide.
Don't pick up the paintbrush if okay. Even though I'm notorious for picking up a paintbrush. Anyways, side to point. All right, so let's go to the next question before I get sidetracked here. So how have you seen the real estate market change in our area? And we'll explain that we don't live in just a huge city. You can talk about that a little bit if you'd like. Over the years, and how do these changes affect home sellers today?
Well, of course, real estate is ever evolving, and it comes and goes on the regular. It's very important, if you're interested in selling your property, to work with somebody who knows what market we're in and how the market is shifting. I started in 2005. I worked through the bubble. Thankfully, I managed to stay in the bubble because there was a lot of realtors who didn't make it through that. And it was very hard because buyers couldn't get loans to buy houses. It was terrible. And then we finally came out of the bubble, and we had a pretty even amount of buyers and sellers, and we had a good thing going there for a long time, several years. And then in 2021, when the influx of out-of-state buyers came in, of course, everything just started selling. So it shifted, and it hurt the local buyers a lot because of the outer state buyers were outbidding everybody, and I think people have heard about that and know all of the stuff that went on with that. But being in a rural community like we are, I live in Lexington, and I do service a lot of West Tennessee. I even come down to Savannah every now and then.
You do.
But it's important to work with somebody who understands all the areas and what's going on and why things are the way they are, or just the ins and outs of everything that's going on. And as you said earlier, I mean, there are people that sell for sale by owner, and that's going to happen. It's just a reality of life. But if this is not something you follow or stay with, it's very important to have somebody that's working on your behalf. and letting you know, hey, this is what's going on. We're seeing a shift. You need to do whatever.
So what role do you think digital platforms play in today's home selling process? And I know for me, I'm actually not. I have a problem with digital as far as like learning it. I guess it's a learning curve for me because of my age. You know, even though I come up, you know, where internet was really starting or whatever and all the new stuff, but learning all the new things, even when I worked as, you know, the assistant there in the office, and I was doing it come from doing everything on paper to suddenly we're doing everything on the computer. So how's that playing in today's process? I mean, as far as, is it,
well, let's just say if the power goes out, we're not doing anything.
No.
So the internet and the electricity are very important to us these days.
Yes.
The first thing about digital is it obviously gets information out to mass amounts of people very quickly. Sometimes it's correct information and sometimes it's not correct information, which can go either way. As far as keeping up with it, I don't think there is a keeping up with it anymore. We just recently, about 2 weeks ago, changed our platform that we use, that we enter our listings on. I was with the other platform for 19 years, and I'm not 30. But I'm embracing it.
You're not telling our age.
I'm embracing it, and I'm learning it, and I'm going to be fine. It's going to be great. But I mean, you know, I think the thing that I've learned is you have to pick what lane you want to be in. Like, you have to pick what you're gonna do and just stick with it. You can't be in all the spaces. Mm-hmm. You can't, because you won't sleep.
No.
And you're not gonna hit everybody, you know. And so I think it just comes and goes, and you just have to do the best you can. And you know, without showing my age, you know, years ago they'd say technology is new every 6 months. I really think technology is new every 6 weeks and probably 6 days at this point.
Yeah, I was gonna say once a week maybe.
Yeah, so I mean, I think it's on both sides. I think it's good, and then sometimes people call me and, you know, and be careful, and this isn't part of the question, but just as a thing, be careful about websites that promise you stuff, or if you just sign up or whatever, just be really careful, because there's so much fraud out there and so much bad information. And if you're not sure, especially rental properties, I know we're talking about selling a house,
but I was gonna bring that up. I'm glad you did. Yeah.
I mean, the rental properties on the internet and on Facebook, it's so bad and it's so scary. So never ever send any money to anybody. And if you have a question, call a realtor.
Yes. No, I agree, because I was thinking about, I don't remember how long ago it's been. I remember you bringing something up actually on Facebook about somebody had offered a rental property, and then they had, I don't remember the whole issue there, but it was a huge deal.
It was, and a very nice young lady took for quite a bit of money that she couldn't afford to get took for. So it hurt me, because there was nothing I could do to help her.
Right. Well, and something else maybe, and I'm thinking that it probably affects you just like it affects me, but that they would probably want to think about when they're listing their home with a realtor. Analytics do play a big role in getting the information out on the World Wide Web.
Right.
So you can Google your home, and you can even, if basic thing, go to realtor.com. That's usually where most realtors put, you know, at least gets there for the majority of the time. But analytics, they play such a huge role that sometimes it'd be like, why am my house right? You know, why didn't it just come up right when I typed in whatever? Well, if you're not extremely specific, it's not going to pull it up. And, you know, so be aware of that as well.
The feeds, right? The feeds definitely can be off at times. And there's a lot that goes into it, and the backside of it can be complicated, and we just have to work within.
You just do the best you can. That's right. You do the best you can. Well, and you can do your research on your realtor. And this is why I'm bringing her on here, is because this is Homemaking Harmony Month, and I wanted her to share, as far as a realtor's perspective, the importance of it, number one, but also giving you tips and tricks to help you get your home ready to sell, and that it doesn't have to be stressful. And it's even less stressful when you have a realtor to help you guide you through the process, so that way you know what to look for,
Well, yeah, I mean, that's what we're here for. We're here to look out for people. And I mean, we do provide a service to people that is very exceptional from the perspective of everything involved. And I get the question quite often, are you coming to the closing? Well, yeah, because you're not done buying until we've made it through closing. And I'm going to make sure all the way till you drive over there the first time and unlock the door that you are taken care of. And that's what we're here for. And they'll all the time, I think this might be a stupid question, but no, there's no stupid questions. You are about to make a very large investment, and for a lot of people, the biggest investment of your life. You need somebody that you can ask any question to. And if you're not getting there's no too small question or there's no stupid question from your realtor, I'm out here.
No, that's really good. And listen, if you don't live in our area, I have Buffy's information listed on the blog post, and I'll have it listed in the description box below. So that way you can contact her and she can help you find a realtor that is in your area.
Absolutely.
That is listed and trusted. So if you get nervous, and you trust me here at Makin Macon, then, hey, I trust Buffy. So just saying, use her information in there and give her a call. Yeah, and absolutely. She would. So, all right, next question. So, from your experience, what has been one of the most challenging aspects of preparing a home for sale, and how did you overcome it?
I don't have a specific story that I can think of about like maybe repairing it. I mean, back in the day when we dealt with a lot of foreclosures, trying to get them to understand. I think probably the biggest thing, this goes back to walking through your house and looking at the small repairs that you're just used to. Some of the things that might flag an appraisal would be important to take care of, because you're going to either have to take care of it before it even goes to an appraisal, or it's going to come back subject to repairs, and you're still going to have to make those repairs. So getting those done ahead of time so you shouldn't have to worry about them, and your realtor would know like what those items would be that you need to pay attention to. But the other thing, I think probably, and it's not really regarding repairs, but getting people to see what you see. Like, well, it's not that bad. Well, it might not be that bad, but if you want to reach this value and these are your competition, then you have to see it for what I'm seeing it for, and what buyers, and I show buyers houses every week, so I know what buyers are saying about houses and this and that and the other thing. And if they're looking at your house and then they're walking through it and they're going, well, it's going to be, X amount of dollars to do all the stuff I want to do to it.
On top of my purchase price.
Right, exactly. So it's just trying to get sellers to hear you, and I'm not saying put out thousands and thousands of dollars, but, do whatever you can to make it the most welcoming. That's my word for today, welcoming.
Welcoming. And make sure you put a welcome mat in front of that door.
Yes.
It didn't cost you anything extra. Anyways, can you share a success story where the right home staging, of course we go back into this, we really don't do staging too much around here.
We don't.
Made a significant difference in a sale?
Well, this is not really my story, but I know of it, and I do know it happened. Okay. So to whose story it is, I'm just sharing it. There was a seller and they had a house for sale and they had repurposed it. It was a foreclosure, and the master bedroom was a little bit on the smaller side, but they had measured it and they knew that a queen size queen size bed dresser could fit in the room. But when it was sorry.
Just continue, because this is just, they know me. I mess up my words all the time. I'm just saying.
But we knew that a queen size bed could fit in the room. And so he did stage it. He went to a furniture store and they staged the living room and this one bedroom and put like a little table in there. And it wasn't very long, few days, several days, weekish. It was under contract and sold. So in that particular, that did make a difference. Now, I mean, if you're moving out of state and you're getting relocated or whatever, would I go in and set up a house. I would not do that. We sell plenty of vacant houses on the regular.
Right.
But I think staging is more, you can stage a vacant house, but to me, staging is more for an occupied house, because again, when you're living in it and all your stuff is the way you like it, like I could never sell my house the way it's set up right now.
I couldn't sell mine that way either.
Because I have way too much tchotchke crap. And I love my tchotchke crap, but it's clutter.
Right.
And I would have to pack most of it away. And that's okay. But that's what when we say staging, that's what comes to my mind.
That's a really good thing, because if I personally had walked into that room, it was really small, I'd be like, no, because I'm thinking, is my queen size bed going to fit in here?
How are we going to walk around it?
Right. Is it going to be okay? So that's really good, because then that way they could see it and be like, oh, well, it does work.
Yeah.
It does. Exactly. And I like how they laid it out. That makes sense. I would do that. And they do that actually. When you go to like mobile home parks and things like that, they stage the rooms so that you can get an idea, a visual of what it's going to look like if you walk in. So it makes sense. So, around here, like you said, we don't really have that issue, but
no, and I think that they do in much more urban areas, Nashville, Memphis. They probably do that on a much bigger scale. But around here, it's just not the norm.
So, looking ahead, are there any emerging trends in real estate that homeowners should be aware of when preparing to sell?
Well, I don't like to forecast, because I don't find myself of the...
Not weatherman.
Yeah, I'm not a weatherman. And I'm not... I don't know. I just prefer to deal with what I deal with today. However, what we are dealing with today is higher interest rates. Mm-hmm. And that is really beginning to be an issue for sellers, because buyers are getting to the point where they really want to love. Like, they've got to love the location, the house, like love to sign up for a 7 or 8% interest rate payment every month. And so I wouldn't say it's stalling our market, but we are seeing longer days on the market for that to really come around and people to get off the fence and actually write a contract on a house. So patience, I think for the very near future, we're forecasting is going to be on the forecast, because I don't see... I really thought the interest rates would recede some by now. I really thought that we would see a little bit, and I know it has dipped here and there a little bit, but not really enough to get people back in a frenzy.
Well, and does the election play a role in changing the interest rates too? That's because we're in an election year, so
I don't know. Has
that been anything in the past?
I think the administration plays an effect on the interest rates more than the election does. Okay. I'm not a political person.
No, and we're not talking political.
No, we're not. But I will say also, in an election year, everything across the board kind of eases up. Okay. I think you see it in big business, in corporate world, in a lot of different places. And especially the closer we get to the election, people are going to wait to see how everything plays out. So I don't think people are as worried right now. I haven't heard much about like job loss or layoffs or any of that kind of stuff. I know in years past, like during the 08-09 bubble and stuff, there was a lot of layoff and that kind of stuff. We don't really hear too much about layoffs anymore, but that interest rate and if you figure that 18 months ago we were selling houses at a 3% interest rate and they're at 7 and 8, that's more than double what the interest rate was. So what they could buy a $200,000 house at 3%, they're barely buying a $150,000 house. So it makes a huge difference.
It really does. I will be honest and say that I have seen even homes where I live that should not be the price that they are. And just because I've, and I did, dealt with real estate or whatever, didn't sell it or anything like that, but seeing those prices and looking at them now, and I'm just, every time I see one, I'm just like, maybe I'm just out of the loop. Maybe I'm just not, I don't know, but these houses are exorbitant. Like the prices of them, a 3-bedroom, 1 bath, and then you're spending $200,000 for, and I'm like, what? 1 bathroom? You know, and it's like maybe 1,200 square feet. I'm like, what is this? You know, I'm overwhelmed with it, you know, and I'm very budget minded, and so for me, that's just like, I just,
well, and
it's crazy.
You didn't ask for this, but here's another piece of advice and this, we're talking about sellers, but from the buyer's perspective, when I send somebody to talk to a lender, I say, specifically tell them, do not ask them what you're approved for. Ask them what your monthly payment's going to be.
Yes.
Because we don't care what you're approved for. We care about that you are comfortable making that payment, and you can still maybe go to dinner how many ever times a month you want to, or, you know, whatever. And so that's really important too.
I actually love that, because that, I don't know, I've never heard anybody say that. Like, I've never heard that from anybody that's like, ask what your payment's gonna be. I mean, I know personally me, that's the first thing that I asked when I went to buy a car, you know, just last year, that was the first thing. I didn't care what car I could possibly get on the lot. I want to know how much my payment is going to be, because I want to make sure that I can afford that payment and still feed my kids. You know, that was my ultimate goal when we were looking at that. So I've never heard anybody recommend that to someone else, you know, because a car salesman, he wasn't going to say, well, you know, you can still feed your family off of this payment. Because cars are ridiculous too.
Well, and people, and I have to say, I mean, back when the interest rate was 3%, it wasn't as important because the payments were so low. So it wasn't quite as important, but now, so it was, well, how much are you approved for? That, it worked okay back then, but now it's different. And again, back to the knowledge of a realtor, you know, these are things that we follow and we're involved in, and that we're here to help you for.
I'm so impressed. I mean, like, and I can't say it more than once, I guess because I'm so budget minded, that to me speaks volumes, you know, and especially because that's one of the things I talk about, you know, in those different areas is budgeting. And next month I've got a Family Matters series, and one of the things is frugal living, you know, living frugally without, you know, you don't look like you don't have any money, you know, but you can live frugally and still have things that are nice, you know. I mean, the Bible talks about being good stewards of our money anyway. And so I love that. So you just made my day. I just really love it. All right. So going on to this, and this might be a good thing too, but what is one question you wish that more clients would ask you about selling their home?
Will you list my home?
Yes. So that would be priority. That makes sense. I mean, true.
I mean, so I'm not really certain, but there's a lot of industries in this world, doctors, lawyers, and I think realtors are about third that give away the most free advice to people. And I love talking to people, and I love talking to people about real estate, and I don't mind answering questions, but to come up with just like one or two, I think the main question is, how's the real estate industry? Well, it's great. Not sure which side of it you're on, but it's great somewhere. And so, I mean, you know, I think that's the main question that I get the most often. But again, back to real estate is local. It's like I'm calling and asking me, how much is land selling for? Well, I don't know. Where's your land? What side of the county is it on? Is it a gully or a ravine? Or is it level? Or is it green? Or is it timber? I mean, there's so much. And it's the same thing with real estate. How's real estate? It's great. You know, you're gonna have to be a little bit more specific after that if you want to know something else, because, you know, it's great, and it has always been great for me.
That's good. I'm really glad. I'm really glad. This is good. I like this. I like this whole conversation because I just, even for me personally, you know, we've talked before about some things, and it just, you know, I know that the times are changing. It's a little scary in a sense. For me, it's scary because of the fact that things are getting more and more expensive across the board, even, you know, just going to the grocery store. But that sense of, and I've said it before now, is that the sense of knowing that you have someone that's knowledgeable enough to help you through that process of making sure that you don't make decisions, you know, foolishly, you know, and be wise. And we said it all the way up to closing. because there's a lot that happens at the closing table.
There can be. There definitely can be. And a trusted advisor, I mean, as a realtor, we sign up and we get to carry the word realtor because we agree to abide by ethics. And I don't know if everybody knows that, but I mean, as a realtor, and I take that really seriously. And aside, it's, you know, it's right under the Bible for me, and living a spiritual life and living how I'm supposed to live. But I don't ever want to even wonder if I misled somebody.
Right.
I want to always know that when I get home at whatever time in the evening, that I did my best to be as possible and as honest and made them feel comfortable. And sometimes that is not a comfortable conversation.
Right.
And I went and showed a house on Friday, and it was a video showing, and they're in another state and they're getting transferred here. And we were talking about it, and I kind of chuckled, and she said, "What?" And I said, "You know, I find myself talking people out of houses more than I do talking them into houses." And I said, "I mean, the house showed beautifully, and I get why you guys really like it, but I'm just telling you, I would not feel comfortable writing an offer on that property until you came here and saw it in person. I need you to walk through it and know for yourself that this is the house you want. And that's, if you do and you want to proceed, I will absolutely hold your hand and do that. But I'm not convinced that house, if you needed to sell it in 3 or 5 years, that you're going to be able to do that." And that makes me worried.
That's awesome.
And a lot of people say, "Well, we want an honest person," and I'm like, okay, well, I'm glad, because now that I had the really hard conversation with you. But I mean, I probably have lost people through the years from that honesty too. But I don't know any other way to be.
Well, no, and that's good, because it's across the board though. I think it reflects anyway with honesty in general, because people tell you that they want you to be honest. Right. But then when you are, it hurts their feelings, or it, whatever. And I mean, we can do it in a spirit of humility, but at the same time, we're just looking out for their welfare. Right. I mean, I'm a pastor's wife, and when I have to be honest with people, right, it hurts their feelings.
Right.
And they're like, well, and then they could either get up and leave the church and never come back again, or they could, humble themselves and realize, hey, what she's telling me is the truth. She's
because she loves me.
Spiritual warfare, or my welfare, not warfare.
Yeah.
My spiritual welfare,
right.
and she loves me.
Right.
So they have the option. You just
right.
you did what you were supposed to do, as far as, and if it were me, that's exactly what I would want. I would want somebody to tell me, hey, you right. because you're looking out for the long term. You're not just looking out for in this moment. You're looking out,
right.
3 to 5 years. And did they ask you to look for their 3 to 5 years in reselling of the home?
No, but the average person only lives in their home 5 to 7 years.
But you thought of that,
right.
and you acted on that, and that to me is very commendable. So, good realtors. That's what you need. So, last question for our viewers considering selling their homes. What's the first step they should take after watching this interview?
Do you know what it is?
Is this their house?
No.
Call Buffy.
No, it's going to be to walk outside your house and close your front door. And maybe walk out to the street, or walk to the driveway, wherever somebody might park when they arrive at your house, and walk from the car and walk up to your house and look at maybe if you have landscaping or the front, and not just like, I'm walking in my house, whatever. Look at it and and see what you see. And just walk through your house before you even change anything or pack anything. Just try to, and maybe even take yourself back to the first time you walked through it and remember what it looked like and the things that you've done or changed. And try to shift your mindset from, we're not going to make any more memories here. We want to sell it for somebody else to make some memories here, and see it from that vantage point. I think the hardest thing for people to do is set aside. We brought, the kids home here, or this is the old family home place, and all that stuff. And very old wise friend years ago told me that you can't do anything with a seller if they're still crying. And there's some truth to that. And if you're really ready to sell, you have to set yourself aside from your memories of your home and just shift your mindset. Okay, we're gonna sell. I'm gonna get some boxes. We're gonna start packing some stuff up and start looking at your house from a buyer's perspective.
That's good. That's really good. And I agree, because when you walk up to your home, you're not looking at all of that stuff. You're looking at, now I am, when I live off farms, just ask my husband. Go in here and top questions, ask my husband. He'll tell you what all I see. Because I have a big long honey-do list. It's like, whatever. But yes, that's really good. Thank you so much for doing this with me. It was so special.
It was very special.
So I am honored to have her with me today. She is a friend. And I would say we're pretty close friends.
Very much so.
And so I am so honored that she came here today. And I hope that everybody got something out of this.
You're like one of the initial villagers in my village since I moved here.
I am. I'm one of the very first ones. I feel so
You can be like one of the county commissioners or something. I already have a mayor, so.
I can be a county commissioner in this village. I like that. Do I get a statue outside?
You're very important.
My name on the board. Susan Rayner was here. I'm just saying. I'm so sorry.
I'll get you a board.
Don't make it one of them dry erase boards where you can just wipe my name off, or chalk or something. It's got to be permanent on there. No, I'm kidding.
Oh crap. Okay. All right. Well, I'll work on that.
I thought you had me snookered and you didn't. No, but anyways.
You are special.
So yes, thank everyone for taking your time out today to watch this video. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments below. And like I said, in the description box, you will see Buffy's information there. And I also have a link to her website, 731 Villagers. That way you can...
731 Village Realtors. We're realtors.
We're realtors.
It does mean something.
Realty. It really does, and I'm so sorry. I put it out there. Anyways, the link is in the description, and you can click on it, and you can go straight to their website, and you can get in contact with Buffy from there. And you can also see her information on the blog at makinmacon.com. Thank you so much for joining us again today. And thank you, Buffy, once again for being with me today for my first interview. I do have an interview coming out before you, so people see that and be like, that was not your first interview. Well, technically it was, other than my husband. I have another one that I got to do today too. So anyway, she's my first one. So I hope you're enjoying this. If you like it, be sure to leave a description or leave a comment in the description box below, whatever the comments below. I don't know what all that stuff is. I'm still new to this. Just leave it down there and tell me you liked it, and share it with someone. Share Buffy's information with people. Let them know, hey, this is a great realtor. Love you all, and we will talk again soon.